The Gyokuro Cha Meijin is known as the Master's Tea, and for good reason. This tea is made from the rare Saimidori cultivar, which is typically reserved for premium Japanese green teas like Gyokuro and Matcha. In this video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the Gyokuro Cha Meijin. We'll visit the farmer who grows this tea and see what makes it so special. We'll also take a brief look at the taste of the tea in a short tea tasting. Let's get started. The Cha Meijin is one of the top teas produced by Mr. Sakamoto, a legendary green tea farmer from Shibushi, a small town just outside of Kagoshima. Mr. Sakamoto has been working on his family tea field since he was a little boy, and when it was his turn to take over the family business in 1985, he decided to turn the tea fields completely organic. He stopped using pesticides and chemicals on the tea field, and instead, he developed his own type of organic fertilizer. This allows him to grow strong, healthy, and flavorful tea plants without harming the natural ecosystem. The reason it is so important for the tea plants to be strong is because they need to survive for 3 weeks without much sunlight. To be considered gyokuro, the tea plant has to be covered in a special type of netting for 3 weeks leading up to the harvest. By cutting off the sunlight from the tea plants before the harvest, the tea plants produce less bitterness, and they are able to maximize the sweet and savory flavor that gyokuro teas are famous for. Let's take a look at the tea field of Mr. Sakamoto to see where this tea is grown.
So we are here at the Mr. Sakamoto's tea farm, and I'm standing in front of 2 different cultivars, and I really want to show you the difference of the leaves of these 2 cultivars. On the right hand side, here we have the Saimidori cultivar. So Saimidori, as you can see when you come a little bit closer, in general the tea leaves are quite small, like this one here or this one here. So the size of the leaves themselves, they're much smaller. And now we go over to the Yabukita, and here we really have in general bigger leaves, like this one here. As you can see, it's much bigger. When I just take a leaf maybe from the bottom, which is not so big, so you can really see the difference of the size of the leaves. So we really have here with the Yabukita leaves that are much bigger in general than the Saimidori, and this is one of the differences between these 2 teas.
After visiting the tea fields, we got a chance to try out the famous Cha Meijin, prepared by the Gyokuro master himself, Mr. Sakamoto.
So after visiting the tea fields of Mr. Sakamoto, we finally get to drink a cold brew Gyokuro Cha Meijin, and we got a Sakura Moji. This is very traditional in this time to have it, and it is actually made out of rice or rice paste, and there are red beans inside and covered or rolled in a sakura leaf.
After trying this tea out in person, we soon fell in love with it and decided that we had to have it in our store to share it with people all around the world. Let's do a short tasting of this tea together and see what makes it so special. Okay, so what we have here is the Gyokuro Cha Meijin. So this is another Gyokuro tea from Mr. Sakamoto. This time it's coming from the Saimidori cultivar, which is kind of a premium tea cultivar known for its light and sweet flavor. And you can see it's really tightly rolled into these needle-shaped leaves. So this is typical for a gyokuro, and it really helps to kind of lock in the flavor until it's ready to be infused into water. And for this reason, because the leaves are so tightly rolled, it's going to need a full 2 minutes of brewing. So let's go ahead and get that started here. I'm pouring in, I have 5 grams of leaves already in the kyusu, and I'm going to be pouring in about 150 milliliters of water at a temperature of 140 degrees. So the reason I'm using a lower temperature water of 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius is because for gyokuro, it's really a celebration of these sweet flavors, these kind of sweet and savory flavors. And to unlock these, you really don't need to go that high with the temperature. You can really stick to a lower temperature brewing, and there you're really able to extract the theanine, but also avoid extracting the catechins, which can produce a bitter flavor in the tea. So this is something to be mindful of when you're brewing gyokuro. It is quite sensitive to temperature. But let's give this tea a little bit more time, and then let's see how the taste develops. So you get much more of this lighter golden color, even compared to the Cha Musume, I would say. This tea is a little bit lighter, a little bit more yellow, and a little bit clearer as well, even. But let's go ahead and have a taste. Yeah, right away you're really getting this kind of warm sweetness. I say warm sweetness because the sweetness is more like caramel, brown sugar, things like that. Not kind of this tropical fruity sweetness. You do notice some of the minerality in this tea, but it's very subtle. There's almost no bitterness whatsoever. I would say none of this astringency. It's just very smooth, very sweet, very enjoyable. I would say compared to other Gyokuro teas, what makes the Cha Meijin unique is it doesn't have this really kind of steamed vegetable flavor. It doesn't have much of the seaweedy flavor. So if that's something you're looking for in a Gyokuro, I would recommend actually go for the Wakamusha. You're going to get a lot more of that flavor with the Okumidori cultivar, but here with the Saimidori, it's a cultivar that's famous for its light, sweet flavor. So you're really getting, you know, a sweeter tea, a smoother tea, with not as much of these steamed vegetable flavors that you'd find in other types of Japanese green teas. I would say the savory flavor of this tea, what Gyokuro is kind of famous for, the savory or umami flavor of the Cha Meijin is kind of pushed to the background, so it's kind of coming in later in the finish of the tea. Whereas with the Cha Musume, you kind of get it right away, along with the sweetness. Everything's kind of coming at the same time. This tea kind of starts with that light, smooth sweetness, that warm sweetness, and then kind of finishes off with the umami flavor. So this is definitely a good tea if you've had a lot of experience with Gyokuro tea and you're looking to kind of level up into something a little bit lighter and a little bit sweeter. I hope you all enjoyed this tasting of the Gyokuro Cha Meijin. If you'd like to pick up some for yourself, you can find it on our website, neoteas.com. But if you have any questions about Gyokuro tea or green tea in general, please feel free to leave us a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And otherwise, we'll see you next time.